Welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk, and I am awfully pumped up today for this episode because we're going to be talking about the Tuscany of Spain. And what is that? That is Priorat. And why is it the Tuscany of Spain? Well, Tuscany, in Italy is like the place. People travel, the cuisine, the wines, and Priorat, which has changed so dramatically in the last 10 years, is starting to be considered of that fame, of that cloth. And what's really interesting to me is that these wines are inspired by Carignan and Grenache, two very interesting Rhone varietal wines, grapes that are doing extremely well in this area. Priorat is expensive. The wines tend to get pretty pricey. But what we've seen over the last 36 months in this region has me personally believing that this may become the place for wine in the world, period. The place where serious collectors, wine-drinking fans, new, old, in-between, out-the-box, inside-out, are going to really get into. The wines are very new world at times, have old world characteristics, are explosive wines, and even the Smurfs came out today because these wines are rocking. Now, I'm really excited about trying all these wines because, number one, I've never had any of these four wines. Number two, I adore the wines from Priorat. And by being a huge Rhone fan, it's fun to see that the Carignan and the Grenache are doing so well in the region. A lot of Cabernet and Syrah mixed into the bunch as well at times, and they're just really, really interesting to see what's going on. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into this. This is an episode a lot of people have been waiting for, so sit back and relax. No matter what kind of antics or descriptions I'm going to do in this episode, these wines are going to outshine me, I think, because this is just an area that's rocking. This became a DOC region in 2001. It became a DO in 1975. So it's recognized. It's been awarded the highest classification, and it's just really interesting to see what's transformed. Because I guess Priorat to me signifies what's important in life as well. No matter where you are in your life, whether you're unemployed or down in the dumps or whatever you are, you cannot be lower than where Priorat was. These wines were so uninspiring. Just old, dirty wines, had nothing going for them. They had some characteristics. There were some interesting ones. I'm not going to blanket the whole region, but this was a region in trouble. And to see what's happened here in the last 5 to 7, and let's give it 10 years, is just downright remarkable. And so you know what? I just love it as a metaphor for life. No matter where you are, you can turn around in a heartbeat with a little bit of thought process. So, Rotllan Torra is going to start us off, and this is a tremendous producer. They make a wine called Priorat, which is very, very high-end, and they get huge scores. This is $14 US and not scored to my knowledge. Again, this is the 2001 Reserva, which is a great, great year in Spain. 35% Cabernet, 35% Grenache, 30% Carignan, and 5% unknown, but probably Syrah and Merlot. Again, this is what's going to rock you with these wines. Oh, little spill action for the kids. Oh, look at the Smurfs going and trying to drink it. I mean, this is unbelievable. They got all excited. The reality is that these wines are very, very dark. Excuse me. Guys, be nice. Let Smurfette taste first. No manners, Smurfs. Anyway, the wines. I can honestly tell you right now that if you're struggling to find chocolate or cocoa in wines and you're intrigued about learning and treating your palate and training your palate, you need to seek this wine out. One, it's $14, where the rest of these are above the $30 Mendoza line. Two, I don't remember a wine that's given me more aromas of chocolate and hot cocoa powder as this wine. It's actually downright remarkable. It's actually stunning. I mean, it is way out there. Like if I smelt this product blind and you put this in front of me, I would never even guess it's wine. How about that? So, an enormity of chocolate and cocoa on the nose. And it follows through on the palate. The wine is very complex, great richness. Very sour cherry flavors are becoming the flavor profile that's obvious, but outside that, I'm still getting a lot of that chocolate, a lot of that mocha, and even like a burnt sausage smoke in the air kind of flavor on this wine. Getting a little green asparagus and a little bit of cabbage, maybe even Brussels sprouts on the finish. Very vegetal mixed in, but very underlining tones, not obvious. Short, dry finish, which makes me a little bit underwhelmed. I wish it was a little bit longer and a little bit more complex, but an extremely nice example of the kind of wines you can get from the region. A little bit more Cabernet than some of the wines we see from the region. Dry, complex, rich, nice wine. A lot of Italian red wine fans would like this. True to the old world Italian, because there is a lot of acidity. Reminds me a little bit of a Sangiovese, and that's really, really kind of interesting to me. Good bottle of wine. I like this wine. I'm going to score it 89 plus. It's right there. 14 bones. You cannot be disappointed. This is definitely worth seeking out. Let's move on. This is the Mass Deutsch 2004, which is a rocking vintage as well, Salanques, and this is $33 and rated 91 points by Josh Reynolds, who is the gentleman who reviews for Stephen Tanzer's International Wine Cellar, does his Spain reviews, and I don't have the blend breakdown on this, but I do know that it's Carignan Grenache Cabernet, a little Syrah as well, so excited to try this. Great producer. Mass Deutsch makes a higher-end wine, just the regular Mass Deutsch, which, off the top of my head, I think even scored 98 points from Robert Parker a couple of vintages ago. This has a huge pedigree, 33 bones, good price point for Priorat. These wines tend to be expensive, and let's give it a whirl. Again, don't get mixed up. These wines are very dark. I mean, this is no light little Pinot Noir action. You're getting very dark wines. This is much more closed, obviously, than the 01 Torra. Makes sense. Much younger wine. 04s from Priorat are wines that we're predicting are going to last between 15 and 25 years easily. They need good time out of to be opened. These wines have been open for quite a while, actually. Believe it or not, these wines were opened yesterday, because I was going to try to tape everything on Friday, but I fizzled out and had things to do. These wines were opened yesterday and now have been opened for about 18 hours. 18 hours these wines have been open. They were opened with tops for about 5 to 6, then the cork was put back in and put on the counter. So we have a little fun action going on with this episode. A little test of how these wines hold up with that much time. The Torra did great, was the least of the quality of the wines. This wine smells like I just opened it. It tells you the profoundness and the complexity in these wines. Enormous amounts of black currant just screaming through this wine, almost like gobs and globs of blackberries munched together into a snowball type thing, and you're in a fort and you're throwing snowballs at each other and you duck. But like I did to my sister when she was 11, I timed her. She was unbelievably consistent. Throw the ball, come down, 1, 2, 3. Throw the ball, come down. Finally, I got her timing down. I threw a snowball at her. Unfortunately, there was a piece of ice. It hit her. She started bleeding. It's a story we still talk about today. Now imagine that snowball was made completely out of blackberry reduction sauce. That's what this wine tastes like, and I like that. There's an underlining hickory kind of flavor coming through on this wine. Very interesting cedar box flavor coming through. Leather, baseball mitt in left field flavor, no doubt, coming through on this wine. %15 alcohol, and I couldn't even tell. I was just stunned by seeing that at the back of the label. It's amazing how some Zinfandels from California go to this alcohol content, and you could taste the heat. And on this wine, I couldn't even conceive it. 13.5 would have been a max guess. Unbelievable effort. I like this wine a lot. I'm going to score this wine 92 points. This is an extremely good bottle of wine. A little young right now. Palate is very dry. I think it's a wine that, can definitely age for 5 to 7 years and show a hell of a lot more. Again, beware, 18 hours opening. I'm not quite sure exactly what this wine would do if you popped it and poured it. My guess, by seeing so many wines evolve over those kind of hours through my life, that this wine would have too much acidity and be too tannic at first. So this is a 3 to 4 hour decanting wine if you want to approach it today. Let's move on. Vina Romas, 2004, La Basseta Priorat. Again, 04, 50% old vine Carignan, 40% Grenache, 5 Merlot, 5 Syrah, 94 points. Josh Reynolds. And this wine is $62 US. So obviously it's got a couple of bucks behind it. Wouldn't call it a bargain, but maybe it is. Maybe it tastes like a $500 wine. Let's see. Again, great dark color. Not gonna be gypped by color. Notice that there's 50% new oak for 15 months and 50% in 1 year oak. So pretty interesting. All French. 14.5 alcohol. This smells much more like Kirsch Royale or like a blackberry schnapps. You know, it's got a very high reduction of fruit, almost hot fruit flavor coming through. Like a syrup that you would put on top of a dessert. And that smells delicious and it's nice. And it's a very New World that way. You know, almost leaning towards those over-the-top Australian Shirazes. Yes. All of you down under guys need to pay attention and seek this wine out. This is loaded. I mean, loaded. Like taking a super soaker full of jam reduced to liquid and shooting it in your mouth consistently for an hour, but not too over the top. I can taste the acidity levels. I can taste the structure in the mid-palate. The mid-palate offers very unique flavors, actually. More earthy tones. Maybe it's the old world Carignan, old vine Carignan. A lot of action outside going on. They're coming for the wine, probably. Shockingly interesting in the mid-palate, where it's a huge gob of fruit, and I kind of thought real quick, you know how your mind thinks? I was like, oh no, here we go. But no, shockingly, and I was really surprised, it went into an enormous complexity in the mid-palate with black olive, with almost like a green mustard sauce flavor. Very intriguing. Very light flavors. Very subtle. The black olive a little bit more. Maybe a little jalapeno pepper coming through. And then again, finishing with a lot of silkiness. But the body weight on your palate on this wine is extraordinary. This is an uncanny bottle of wine because of the amount of New World centered by a very old world tradition. Kind of reminds me a little bit of me. Being a little bit of a New World kind of guy, as you would say, outgoing and all those kind of things, I'm still built on very old world values and beliefs, and I come from a very old world place, and so for that reason, I should probably score this wine 101, but I won't, because it does remind me of me. I'm going to score this wine 94 points as well. I think Josh Reynolds nailed this. I give him a lot of credit. It's exactly where I think this wine belongs, which is a huge score, $62. In my opinion, it's well worth it. This is a wine that should be seeked out. This is a very intriguing bottle of wine. It's fun. And now this. And this is probably, in the shop, the most intriguing wine, the wine that I have the most curiosity about. Probably the reason I'm doing this show is because of this wine. This is the 2004 Melis. And this is a 15.5 alcoholic bomb that comes from the gentleman known by Victor Gallegos. And what's really interesting about him is he's the general manager at Sea Smoke, which is one of the very hot Pinot Noir producers in the region that Sideways made so famous. This is a Grenache Carignan Syrah Cabernet blend, $80 US. And I don't know the exact blend down, but Victor Gallegos is a very intriguing gentleman who's got a lot of brains and a lot of ability, and it's going to be downright exciting to try this wine. This is awfully expensive and awfully rare. Very tough to get. 80 bones, going for a big number for this project, but Melis, and don't forget it, because, if what some of the people that I respect a whole lot say about this wine is true, I'm about to lose my mind, and that's, it's almost like getting a present. So let's see. Maybe sometimes you don't like the present. Again, we're not going to be gypped by the color. Okay, starting off with the intriguingness because the nose is very interesting. It smells like detergent to me, a little bit like Tide, but it's not throwing me off. But there definitely is a Tide detergent type smell. I'm getting a little burntness on the nose, so the 15.5 alcohol is clearly making its presence known. Probably the most one-dimensional black plum, fresh Asian plum flavor I've ever gotten in a wine. So that's really the dominant flavor. Yeah, I'm getting a whole lot of plum mixed with some Tide. Let's give it a whirl. I'm disappointed. You know, the flavors are not coming through for me as much as I'd enjoy. It's got a lot of heat. I mean, this comes down to the cold hard facts about we drink the wines on this show too young. This whole country drinks wines too young. This wine is very disjointed and extremely awkward. What we call in the wine industry as a dummy phase, where it just doesn't really know how to put itself together. Clearly, this wine is way, way too young. The flavors are completely all over the place. I'm getting some Asian spice. I'm getting some blackcurrant. I do get a little hint of like black cherry. I'm getting a little hint of vanilla, a little custard pie flavor aspect as well. Not all in synergy though. However, all kind of in their own place. Kind of like a team, like 5 basketball all-stars, but just not playing as a team. Kind of like the team that the Americans have been putting out in international play. And for that reason, this wine does not win for me either. I scored this wine 88 points. And for $70, it's a huge pass. That being said, I go on the record today because in 6 years we may taste this wine and it could be a fabulous bottle of wine. But today, it's an 88-point wine and I'm going to have to give it a big pass. I'm pretty darn disappointed because it was all leading up to this. Question of the day. What is your favorite color? Mine's green. Because you... Should I throw a Smurf? No, I'll probably break it. And a little bit of me. We're changing the wine world, aren't we? Priorat, go find one.